So our next major topic is actually a very important one for us to get into in more detail. And it will take a little bit of work to get through it, but really you'll find in the end that we're only combining techniques and concepts that we've already learned and put into practice. We're just kind of putting them together in a new way, right? Now, to be fair, I want to say that, because MVC does focus on sort of entity-centric CRUD patterns and operations, right? Sometimes people talk about and use words like siloed or monolithic, right? And, that MVC tends towards entity isolation because we focus on one thing at a time, doctor, patient, whatever it is, right? But, in reality, objects, as I say here, rarely stand on their own, and we need to view them in the context of their relationship. So it might not be the natural way that MVC first introduces things to us, but it is flexible enough for us to achieve that integration and bring related objects back into focus and to how they work together, right? So, one of the common things that people are used to seeing in all kinds of environments, industry and others, is the whole concept of a master detail page, like order and order details, right? To see artists and a list of all their artworks, patients, patient appointments, so on and so forth, right? So it's any parent-child, it tends to actually lean towards having that kind of a presentation of the information itself. And on a master detail page, sometimes we want to be able to apply that sort, filter, and paging to the detail records themselves, right? Especially if there's a large number of detail records we need to display. Okay, so we're going to talk about exactly how we do that because there's some challenges involved. Actually, let me bring up our application here for a second. So for example, even here looking at our patient controller, if I go to details, look at all these things we're including: doctor, medical trials, our patient conditions, and even the photo and so on we've added, right? So all that is being pulled in to show in relation to the patient. But, okay, that's not all. We're going to add more and more as time goes on when we start dealing with appointments and so on. One of the powerful things we've seen is the way how we, with a simple dot include, right, in our LINQ query, we get all the joins being taken care of in the actual SQL, pulling information together. But there's a limitation you should be aware of. With a dot include, I can't just go on and add a dot order by, right, to the included data. Okay. Yeah, there are ways you could do that in the view itself and things like that, but it's not something that is optional or available with the dot include operator in LINQ itself. So there are limitations to what we can do in this case. So, actually, I think I have it running here. So let me just come to the actual application. Yeah, so there's our patient details. So we've got all this information coming in together. That's great. Even think about doctors, right? If we have all this information, I can go to details and look at this. We have a nice master detail record here, right? At the top, we see all the details about the doctor themselves, first, middle, last name. You can see the documents that are up there, the specialties, and so on and so forth, and underneath the list of patients. But say I wanted to sort this list by age. Well, that's not easily done, okay, with the way that this is actually configured. Why? The actual model of this page is still the doctor. So we're going to find a different way we can approach this kind of an arrangement. It might not even look that different at first glance, but it gives us much more flexibility in terms of managing a large number of these related child records themselves. Okay, so that's kind of what is coming up next, right? So as I say here, if the model of the page is the parent object, it's hard to do sorting, filtering, and paging of the detail records, okay? So due to the limitations of the dot include, right? And, the nice way we have our sort, filtering, and paging working, okay, is something that we can then translate over into this type of a master detail arrangement, right? But we just have to be smart about how we do it. So that's what we're going to go through. So I've got a few different copy-paste files we're going to work through as we build up this, and we'll probably take a few recordings to get through it all as well. But the first one is we're going to actually add appointments, because remember our model here, right? Way back at the beginning of the term, we started to look at this would be our eventual model we were going to build our application on. So far, we've added a number of these many-to-many relationships, like our doctor and specialty, patient and their history, their medical conditions in their past, and so on. But let me just draw your attention to the fact that both of these, okay, entities you see highlighted here are what we often refer to as no-load, okay, intersection or associative entities, right? All they contain are the two foreign keys making up the primary key. There's no other load of information in there. They're strictly there to support the many-to-many relationship. Now look at appointment, okay? Technically, yes, look here, it's in the middle between doctor and patient. An appointment is a patient seeing a doctor. It might not necessarily be their primary care physician. It's whoever doctor happens to be covering in the office at that point in time, right? And we also have a nullable lookup here, okay, for an appointment reason. There might be a specific reason, one of the standard ones like yearly physical or whatever, right, for the appointment reason, but there might not be a reason given. Anyway, the point is the appointment contains more than just, okay, the two foreign keys, a patient ID and a doctor ID. No, there's a time and date when it is, probably a spot to put notes that the doctor can write about the appointment and so on and so forth, right? So although it is supporting the many-to-many relationship in a sense between doctor and patient, it is not a no-load, okay, and we have to approach it a little differently. All right, well, with that in mind, let's go ahead and we'll start in the first part of our exercise here. We're just going to get our actual appointment in place. All right, so let me just minimize this for a second. I've got my copy-paste file ready to go, and let's bring up the project once more. And yeah, I'm not running, so that's good. I'm just going to close everything up so we start with a clean screen. All right, so I'm going to come into models, first of all. We have some models to add. I'm going to right-click. We'll just go through adding a couple classes here. You know, you've seen me do this a gazillion times, so I might pause the recording till we get all these in place and we'll just look at them. Okay, so here's my appointment reason, right? So it's a pretty simple one. We just have basically a reason name. Note that it's required. We have a display name, a string length limitation. Here's a useful thing, display format. Because it's a nullable foreign key, okay, I can define the null display text so that if in a related entity, okay, we don't actually have the appointment reason assigned, it will substitute and show no reason given. That's kind of nice, right? And of course, it's a parent in the parent-child relationship to the actual appointment. Let's look at appointment next, right? So here is my appointment. Notice I'm implementing iValidatable object here as well, right? But we have a lot of data here. We have our start time, a nullable end time, okay? Notes, a nice multi-line text, okay, up to 2,000 characters for the doctor to write notes about the appointment, what they observed, et cetera, et cetera. There's an extra fee, okay, for the appointment. Sometimes there's a nominal fee that's charged for certain things and so on. And of course, there's the foreign keys. So here's the doctor, there's the patient, the foreign key for each one, done in the same way that we're familiar with already, okay? Oh, here's the appointment reason. Now notice it's not required, okay? But here we have it here. So it's a nullable int, the foreign key for appointment reason ID. And then we have our appointment reason as well, just some display names to go with both. And here's my validate event using iValidatable object, just making sure that the start time and the end time are chronologically in the right order. I mean, that's all I've added, at least for now. Okay, but I've also got a whole bunch of summary properties, right? Whenever you start working with date times like this, you know, it's often very useful on the user interface to be able to give nice summaries of what's going on, right? So we have simply our date, okay? I have one here, our start time summary, right? So just putting it into the nice, you know, year, month, day, hours, minutes, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, we're getting into a bit fancier, the end time here. So it might be unknown, depending on if the end time is null, okay? But it's also nice to be able to have a time span to show, you know, what the length of the appointment is, and so on and so forth as part of that. We have a duration summary as well. It's the same idea. We're going to show how many minutes, if there are any, how many hours, and so on. And that gives us a nice way to present the information about the details of how long the appointment was and when it was and everything else on the screen. So, you know, feel free to to learn from these in terms of how you want to put your own summaries together and so on and so forth. Okay, but the point is, this is clearly not, okay, just another associative no-load entity, right? We got a lot of additional information being stored in the appointment itself. Now, don't forget, okay, in both doctor and patient, we have to add our I collection, okay, on the parent side, because they're both parents, relating back to the actual appointment collection itself, and away we go. So that's all my new entities, or the changes to the models that I'm going to require. Now, of course, I had to do some work in our DB context as well, so let me come up there to my medical office context. Okay. We only have 2 more DB sets to add, but we'll get those in place. Okay. The order here does not matter, but I'll just get my appointments and my appointment reasons. All right. And some work to do in the Fluent API as well. So I probably should have been doing this from the beginning, but I decided to throw in my comments here, know what step that this was added. So it's entirely up to you. You can go back and rework things, but I just thought it'd be a good idea going forward. And as part of step 14, right, we have the relationship between appointment and appointment reasons. We're restricting, cascade delete there. And I wrote this one the other way around just for fun, okay? Doctor, right, to appointment, and we're restricting there, right? Okay. Now, we're going to need a new migration or a new set of migrations, whichever you prefer. I think I can probably just go ahead and add a new migration. Let's just see how that goes. I'll just grab this much. And I'm going to call this add APPTS. It'll do a build. I should have done that already, but it'll do it for me now anyway. Oh, good. We succeeded. And there we are. So there are the additions and changes required, and it looks like everything has gone smoothly. So I should probably be able to just carry on now. And of course, it will actually apply the migration for us the way we have our program.cs set up to call our database initialize routine. All right. Now, we are going to want some seed data as well. So once more, I'm going to pause while I get that in place, and we'll just walk through it. Okay. Actually, I'll show you a little bit as I go through. So some of it is going to go in the seed required data, right? Things that I'd want in here in production as well as during development. So I'll come down here. I'll just throw in this bit of code here to seed appointment reasons, right? So I have a array of strings here, all the different reasons that I might have for creating an appointment. So I'll add that there. Now we'll go on to the actual other seed data, or I should say seed sample data. So down in this region. Now it makes sense that this is going to go fairly well near the end because I need to have my patients, I need to have my doctors all in place and everything first. So I'm going to come down pretty much to the end here, and it can go after doctor specialties. That's perfectly fine. It can come in here after patient conditions. Yeah, no problem at all. So I'll throw it in right here and just paste away. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. We already had those defined. So I probably don't even need to recreate them again because I have them earlier. Sorry. So I'll just comment these out for now. And I'm pretty sure that that should be fine. So, hey, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? Yeah, I already have them right here, so I don't need them again at that point. Okay, so what I've done is I've added an array of, yeah, I think I might have mentioned this before because I tend to reuse this. You're familiar with the good old lorem ipsum Latin, sample word that people use a lot. Well, I went to the Bacon Ipsum website, and you can just say how many words you need, and it just generates a whole bunch of meaningless. If there are any vegetarians in the office, I hope I don't offend you. I just thought it was funny. So anyway, there we go. So it gives me some notes, right? Just some to fill in some sample data here on, when the doctor has to write a bunch of notes and so on. Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess I could actually delete this completely since I've already got it a couple lines higher up. So it's the same approach here. We're just going to go through and add appointments to different different patients for different doctors, randomly assigned, and so on and so forth. Some start times. Okay, I'll use some add hours type of thing, and then end time. Right, away we go. Zero out some extra fees so we don't have extra fees on everybody, and so on and so forth. All right, so just it's the same kind of programming we've done before for my initialization. Okay. Now, I could take time to actually scaffold an appointment controller, but I'm going to leave that because I want to get focus on our master detail page instead. So we might come back and revisit the code at the bottom of my step 14 here, but for now, I'm going to go on to step 15. So I'll stop the recording and we'll start it again.